Another big potential pot deal as Coca-Cola explores a partnership with Aurora Cannabis. Let's get to Aditi Roy in San Francisco for those details. Hi, Aditi.
Hi, Scott. Coca-Cola may soon be giving you a different kind of jolt. We saw shares of Aurora and other cannabis companies soaring after Coke announced that it is eyeing the growing cannabis drinks market. In a statement, Coke said, "We are closely watching the growth of non-psychoactive CBD as an ingredient in functional wellness beverages around the world. The space is evolving quickly. No decisions have been made at this time." Aurora, on the other hand, says it has expressed specific interest in the infused beverage space, and we intend to enter that market. There's been a lot of speculation since Constellation's $4 billion investment into Canopy Growth and Molson Coors Canadian unit partnering with the Canadian cannabis producer last month. And industry watchers are asking, who is next? Cowen saying today, beyond Coca-Cola, we would not be surprised to hear of a deal from PepsiCo as well, with CBD seemingly a good complement to their market share leading Gatorade franchise. Note that the chatter is around CBD, which is a cannabis compound that is non-psychoactive, so unlike THC, it doesn't get you high. One investor in the space, Greg Smith with Evolution Advisors, tells me the possibility of Coke delving into pot shows how many of these legacy companies are now racing to grab a cannabis partner, and they can provide scale, credibility, and capital to help accelerate their paths to market. Cowen also naming Tilray and Afria as other likely targets of consumer packaged goods companies. Scott, back to you.
Okay, Aditi, thank you so much. All right, let's trade it. Tim?
Well, look,
you are up first.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line here is I think there's a lot going on in this sector, and it's going to continue to play out that it's not just the substitution effect for the liquor companies and the beer companies that are running into the sector. And that's the story with Coca-Cola.
Why would you do, if you're Coca-Cola, why come out with this before you have a deal? Does it make everybody more expensive to have a deal with, or are they sort of going to try to?
Can they get that much more expensive?
Oh, well, that's true, or do they try to get them to compete for the Coca-Cola deal? I don't know. It's odd that they would come out with it before it's, I don't know.
I think you have to own a bunch of these different names. I'm in Canopy and I'm in Kronos, and it always seems like there's going to be another headline out. They're all defending tremendous market caps at this point, but we've seen pharma get a little disrupted. We've seen beverages get a little disrupted. You're probably going to see the consumer space get a little disrupted, and that to me is where it's going. Estee Lauder is probably, and there's a lot of names, and Estee Lauder is probably going to pick one.
Okay. Well, Timmy, you're looking at another industry that could soon join the craze. Why don't you head over to the plasma, break it all down for us?
Yeah, so what's really interesting about this, Scott, is, again, Coca-Cola is not going after the psychoactive side, the psychotropic side, and that which is competing with the beer companies and the alcohol companies. And in fact, ultimately, if you can see, I just want to point out the various sectors that I think are all exposed to this trade. So you talk about waking up one day where there's a new strategic. That's the beauty of a new asset class, when in fact all the subcomponents to me are ones where you could actually have, I think, major involvement. We talked about pharma. Okay, so obviously, it's actually when you get into Crohn's and cancer and epilepsy and all the places where we see pharma companies that are going to be having substitution effects to opioids, et cetera. Wellness. This is really about creams, lotions, ways to actually live a better lifestyle, a CBD regimen, consumer products. That really gets you into the alcohol and all the other elements of what's going on here, whether it's Diageo or other big brands that are seeing substitution. Lifestyle, that could also mean, effectively hemp clothing and hotels, tech, the data around this and all of it. So what does it lead to? It leads to we possibly have a place where other companies are, yes, jumping on the bandwagon. So who might be jumping through? Well, first of all, again, the story today was about Coca-Cola. They are not fighting off necessarily substitution effect. Yeah, we've seen that in CSD, but they've been going into energy drinks. By the way, would you rather be pepped up or cooled down? That's really the story. It might even be a bigger market. We know about Constellation Brands. Boy, didn't they get this whole thing whipped up. And ultimately, Molson Coors was right in there early. They are talking about infused THC beverages that actually would be a substitute for beer. But who are some of the other guys that are worth interesting? Well, look, ultimately, I think Starbucks is a name. This is a very progressive company. Coffee is a place where Costa, Coca-Cola owns them. They could also be applying THC, but probably more likely CBD. And Amazon. If you look at some of the companies in Canada that are already trading up on their valuations, it's the guys that are making up the retail distribution. And electronically, that is one way to do it. So I throw those names out there. J&J Labs in Canada is doing a lot of work where a lot of big U.S. pharma companies cannot yet. I think they are ahead of the curve. So those are companies. Let's just talk about the guys that could be in the on-deck circle, because as we pointed out here, every day you wake up, someone new wants to be a part of it. It's not just one part of the sector. It's a multi-pronged strategy for many different sectors.
I'm a believer, by the way, Tim, and great job with the bandwagon. You put it all in that.
You could use a hat. Imagine if you had that hat.
Tim had the hat for being
everybody in.
But my question is the existential risk to the entire space that the Trump administration or any administration puts a kibosh on this entire thing?
Well, first of all, Guy, this is a global market. And if you look at the size of the global market, we really don't have any idea. I mean, I brought up the fact that clothing and furniture made out of hemp, which is just completely a different way to get exposure here. But yeah, look, part of the excitement is the sense that the horse has left the barn, and legislatively what we're going to see at the midterm elections and more likely in the 2020 elections, I don't know when they're going to deschedule or decriminalize or get to a place where it's federally legal or where you can even bank it. But the bottom line is it's moving ahead of that. Coca-Cola doesn't need to be in this sector tomorrow, but they are a global company. They are someone that knows how to invest in a world without borders. They are somebody that will be ready when that time comes, and they're moving now.